Hey, MotorHoss back at you again. Ended up finding out that the pulsing out the turbo inlet was because of a pitted and burned intake valve seat. So we ended up disassembling the whole motor, especially because we weren't really sure about these oiling problems, and it just wasn't worth trying to just do the top end of the motor. So I ended up stripping it down, cleaning out the block, checking everything out, doing a little deburring, cleaning out the old gallery holes, punching in some new cam bearings, machined a couple tools to do these valve guides and seats, and I'll show you those here in a second. Also, one of my chimp buddies had to have noticed that there's a casting name on the block there that says France. So I think somehow AGCO bought out Allis Chalmers sometime, I don't know, in the 80s or whatever. Never cared much for the French, but that's a whole other story. So I'll show you these parts over here. So I machined a core drill out of a 1/2-inch drill bit, stepped it down with a tool post grinder. That was enabled to core these valve guides out about 3/4 of the length, take the stress off of them, relieve the press fit, and take a 1/2-inch drift and punch those out with a pretty heavy hammer. That went really well. Didn't have to heat anything, didn't have to chill anything. That worked out well. Here's the old intake valve seat. It was all pitted up. Welded a shock absorber washer to that, and ended up punching that from the backside through the valve guide. Took about 3 shots of freezing it and tapping it out of there. Kept breaking the welds out. Gotta love that. But anyway, it ended up coming out without damaging the counter bore. Got a new standard size seat. Machined this 2-piece brass pilot tool and drifted that in with like a 4-pound hammer. Didn't heat the head, but chilled this with refrigerant, the new one, and drove it in there. That went really well. Happy about that. And then machined this valve guide driver to be able to drift the new guides in and try to get them at the correct depth. That worked out pretty good too. Did that on a 20-ton press. And then we move on to the rocker shaft. You got to love this. They decided for whatever reason to use cork, an actual real cork. Would have liked to blame that on the French, but looking at the old 22 D2200, original D2200 motor, they were also used the corks back in the mid-60s when the French didn't have anything to do with it, so you couldn't really blame it on them. So we machined these brass plugs with O-ring grooves. Put a nice O-ring in there. We're just going to use that for plugs. Hopefully that'll make it a little more hypo performance. So we have all our parts out here, checking them all out, cleaning them up, getting ready to reassemble. And over here we have some more parts cleaned up, ready to be put back. And then the crank over there looked pretty good on the lathe there. Had to spin that around and shine it a little bit, make sure that was all right. So we're getting through, trying to get everything taken care of, and hopefully when this head comes back from the shop, we'll have that ready to be put on. I'm going to assemble a short block, put the head on, and we'll be pretty much down the road to getting her lit back up again, and hopefully it'll run a little bit better than it did last time. Okay, signing off, the old MotorHoss. Till next time, late.